Sorted out.
Going live now. We're live. We're live.
This is like the 2-minute warm-up, right?
Yeah. I'm just reading all the comments. Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. I'm literally about to have my online shopping arrive.
Awesome.
And then we'll get started. We're going to start in like 2 minutes?
Yes.
Is that the plan?
Just reading. Oh, look at all these people commenting. Miko is very excited about tonight's SydCSS.
Oh, Miko, you feature in the slides, mate. You feature in the slides.
Hello, everyone. Elbow cough. I like that.
And what is it? 26 people viewing so far. What is the thing of the attendance? It's like 250.
220 or something, 30 or something like that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many people tune in. Yeah. Oh, hang on. I've realized that we should oh, we've got some Perth people joining. Hi, yeah. Corey.
Fatima as well. I think Fatima's tuning in.
Yes, Fatima's joining. She's very excited.
I really appreciate her tweet earlier with the luck dragon. Now, as soon as my online shopping is done, then we can start.
Okay, we've got 1 minute.
We've got 1 minute.
Hello, looking sharp, David. How come no one's commenting about my outfit? I think I'm looking.
You know what? I'm really glad I wore pants, but I've just shown that I'm not wearing shoes with what I just did then. I didn't expect to move from this spot through the night.
That's okay. I'm completely unsurprised that David dressed in a suit for this.
Thanks,
everyone's commenting on your suit. What about me? I guess because I always look sharp.
But I'm fulfilling my dream of being like a Stephen Colbert, John Oliver kind of thing.
Yep, from your lounge room. David? Sorry, I'm just reading everyone's comments.
What's happening here? Do you want to come here?
Thank you, Jack.
Look, we're going to start in a minute. Look who's here, just for a second.
I'll take it. Sympathy comments.
All these pictures.
I'll take it. Hi,
Millie. Going to bed now.
Hi, Millie.
Oh, you're going to wave to everybody, Midge. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Night-night.
Night-night.
Yeah, Miko, ties are overrated.
What? This is the most dressed up I've been in months.
Yes, Daryl. I think we should have a Millie and Phoebe cameo. I know Phoebe's hopefully sleeping now. More Oliver than Cooper. I'm loving all these comments. That's so good. Oh, by the way, these videos get saved as well as all the comments. So, yeah. They're going to live in history forever.
Yeah, sweet. Okay.
Yes, Miko, ties are overrated. I think ties are so uncomfortable.
All right, yeah, we're on time, right? The online shopping is here.
Yay!
Going to bed and we're good to go. Should we start?
Yes. Yeah. How many people are viewing? 52.
Okay, so welcome to SydCSS. I'm David, one of the organisers. 52 people. So I'm one of the organisers along with Fiona, who's here with me now on the stream. We've also got Sharpie and Verity, who you'll meet in a little while. Now, SydCSS is normally something that we host at a venue in Sydney, but tonight it's a little bit different because of what's happening with coronavirus. But the organisers of SydCSS, we wanted to keep the community alive because it feels that it's important to have this vibrant community going on, and it's important for us to have this. We've felt the redundancies that are going around. I myself have been made redundant recently. We've also felt the cutback in hours and feel as though the community that we've got here is what we need right now at the moment. So we've made some adjustments to the night. It's a little bit shorter than normal. It's about an hour long. We're starting a little bit later as well to get the little ones off to bed. You might have seen my daughter a few minutes ago getting herself off to bed, so she's having her stories read to her. And this is the bit of the night normally where I'd be asking people to raise their hands to do the icebreaker where you introduce each other, which has always been popular and been something that we do for every SydCSS ever. But for this one, we're going to do it a little bit different. So we've got a big advantage with having SydCSS like this, that we can reach way beyond Sydney, and we can reach down into Wollongong and over into Perth. So we want to invite you to introduce yourself in the comments. Just say where you're tuning in from, and then everybody will get a sense of how far and wide that we're reaching. Oh, I forgot to do the slide, Fiona. I'm so sorry. This format that we've got tonight, there's heaps more advantages beyond the reach that we've got. We've got things like no more waitlists. How annoying are waitlists with SydCSS? You never get a ticket, right? There's no more waitlists anymore. This is Fatima, who's hopefully here tonight. She's super excited because she's able to tune in from Perth. Now you can watch from anywhere as well. So I'm betting that there's somebody who is watching from their toilet right now, and you're feeling seen, and that's okay. But you know, it's an option for you, right? Another great thing about this format is that you can rewatch it anytime. So this is Sharpie at Christmas. He's watching this and just reminiscing over it. It's fantastic, right? We've got the usual thing with the hashtags. So if you're going to be tweeting or you're going to be on Instagram tonight, like share the love and give us a tweet, and sure to copy it in. Go ahead.
So thanks to Look at Search, we're able to get these fancy backgrounds, CSS background that you see. I just remembered that we actually forgot to turn on the graphics. Look at that.
Ooh.
Look at that. We're looking so professional right now. So yeah, so thank you, Look at Search. They've been very generous.
Now I think Fiona, you tweeted about a work from home setup that we're asking people for. And so we captured some of those, have a little look what people's setups look like. Now, sadly, mine isn't here. Mine is epic tonight, and I really wish I'd have captured it. But here's Fiona's.
Oh, yes. Can I just explain? So this is my work from home setup. So I'm sharing an office with my husband, Bing. So in the afternoon, the sun kind of gets in. And and then unfortunately the blind doesn't block out the light, so I have to put up this picture to try to block out the sun. And I think that's pretty clever. It's very flexible. I can take it off anytime I want. I don't always have to have it there. I can look at the nice flowers, a bit of a change of scenery. So
it is beautiful, but it just bugged me. That picture's on its side, right? Is that picture on its side?
Yes, it is.
God. Now this is Taryn, right? That looks like a catalogue shot, and it's totally on brand for where she works. And I'm loving the pink keyboard as well. Oh, that pink keyboard.
Yeah, that pink keyboard. And those plants, they look great. Mine was the one on my desk is just a plastic one. So I believe Taryn's ones are real ones. Yeah.
Who else have we got? We've got Miko. Now Miko got teased a little bit. I think I'm not even going to make the Mac joke that you're just setting me up for there, Miko. But again, this looks good with the, what is that, like a stone desktop? What is that about?
What desktop? Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. That looks nice. Very nice, Miko. Very nice.
It's probably laminate though, right? This is Joe down in Wollongong, I think. Got a beautiful, healthy lunch.
Yes, and I like how he crossed out some of the stuff in his code, so you can't see. Give away company secrets. Very good, very good.
Is that like a VS Code theme? Like, is that what someone's using? I especially like the fact that I think he's got a video player in the background.
He does.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what VHSs he likes to play back. We've got some naysayers, right? Ben Buchanan is like, these look like catalogue shots, and that's fair enough. They do look a bit like catalogue shots. So we pressured Ben to send us a picture of his desk because he was saying that everybody else's was looking really, really really neat. And this is his. It's immaculate.
How is that messy at all? Like, that is
apparently
not messy.
He reckons that the cables should be tied up more neatly. Like, what the hell is that about? I don't think so. Verity, I feel as though this one is like 76% dog rather than a desk setup, personally. I know that you like this one, Fiona.
Yes, yeah. So the Verity stock, Alfie, apparently he's a very good, not a very good coder, because I asked Verity if Alfie helps with her coding, and she said, no, Alfie's a pretty crap coder, but he's pretty good as a OHS officer. So Alfie's very good in eating off all the snacks from the floor, and also making sure that Verity goes out for a walk every day. So very good job, Alfie. Very good job. Employee of the year.
Now, this wasn't supposed to be a competition, but we do have like a winner is for one of them that came in. So, bit of a drum roll. You know which one of this is going to be?
Mine?
No, not yours. Simon Swiss. Like, look at that.
Why?
There's so much going on. I hear the dog is a crap engineer, but that cat is amazing. That cat is amazing.
The cat is coding.
Okay, people.
Awesome.
So we're going to cut now to get Taryn ready.
Yes. So, all right. Hang on. I just need to figure out how to do this. So I'm going to remove David. I'm going to add Taryn. Taryn is now there. Yay! Yes. So we're very excited to have Taryn to come and speak to us for the first time at SydCSS. Taryn is a front-end engineer at finder.com.au. And before becoming a software engineer, Taryn is actually working as a pastry chef, which I think is so cool. So you should follow her on Instagram because she sometimes shows us some of her amazing baking. And tonight, Taryn is going to talk to us about how we can make improvements to accessibility when it just feels so overwhelming. So just gonna bear with me. Just gonna do this. So can you please put your hands together for Taryn? All right.
Okay. Hello, this is my first time ever live streaming, so I'm very nervous, but let's give it a go. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how you can begin making web accessibility improvements at your company when it all feels hopeless. When accessibility has never been a priority for your engineering team before, when your team as a whole don't have a huge amount of knowledge about it, and when it isn't even a discussion. I'll be sharing my experiences and the progress we've made as a team over the past 12 months. Hopefully, if I am successful, you can walk away with some action items so that you can log on tomorrow and begin making some positive change immediately. However, disclaimer, this talk will not be covering any technical requirements of an accessible website. And there's also no CSS in this talk at all. I'm so sorry, SydCSS. This talk is about making cultural change, but I will share some resources so you can go away and do some more research. It's also not a full success story. This isn't a, look at us, we're so accessible talk. This is a, we've really struggled, but we're also really trying talk. So we kind of already did introductions, but yes, my name is Taryn and I'm a front-end developer at Finder, Australia's largest comparison website. I used to be a pastry chef who made candy every day, and I made a career change into web development 2 years ago. My proudest achievement in my career so far is getting a passionate engineering team to agree on and commit to web accessibility standards. So this presentation is partly a story about that. So what is web accessibility and why do we care? Web accessibility refers to the inclusive practice of removing barriers that prevent interaction or access to websites by people with disabilities. Basically, it just means making the web available to everyone. It's not just people with disabilities who benefit from web accessibility. An accessible website often improves the user experience for everyone. Nobody likes to be left out, but imagine if the thing you were left out of was essential to your ability to live independently. My friend and colleague, Gemma Stiles, who is genuinely the most wonderful human being and empathetic front-end developer, and also my partner in crime for the majority of accessibility improvements within Finder, she once said that nobody should be denied an opportunity to participate in the world or to access information because of their limitations. Also, side note, in case you didn't know, because I didn't know for a really long time, that Ali, being short for accessibility, is named because there are 11 letters between the A and the Y, so that's just a fun fact for you. Usually we don't intentionally exclude people. Unfortunately, a 2019 report found that 70% of e-commerce news and information, and government websites had significant accessibility issues, prompting users to take their business to rival sites. I've only been a developer for 2 years. Everything I know about web accessibility I've learned during this time, most of it in the last 12 months. We all start somewhere. This is the part in the talk where I'll share some resources for you to do your own research. My first step was following people on Twitter who tweet about web accessibility. These are all excellent accounts to follow. Don't stress about copying them down. I'll share my slides on Twitter after. These people all share amazing articles that are a really great place to begin getting some exposure to the topic. Read as much as you can from as many different places as you can. Sign up for mailing lists. Automatic have a really great one called Ali Weekly. Commit to reading at least one article a week about web accessibility. There are also some fantastic meetups and conferences on this topic. I recommend checking out the Sydney Web Accessibility and Inclusive Design Meetup if you're in Sydney, and also the Ali Camp conference. I think it's going to be in Melbourne next time. I would also recommend any book or article by Hayden Pickering. I usually find tech books incredibly dull, but I recently read his book Inclusive Components from front to back, and it was amazing, and I often refer back to it. It offers practical examples of accessible components and talks you through the whole process. It's such a great resource, and as a bonus, the last time I checked, the ebook was available at Pay What You Can. There's also the official documentation put together by the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG. This is the most extensive resource, however, it can be overwhelming, hard to understand, and to be honest, a bit boring. I recommend learning as much as you can from some easier to understand articles initially, and then looking into WCAG as a resource when you need it. As you begin learning, you start to realize just how much you don't know, as with anything in technology. At this point, I started feeling really uncomfortable that this wasn't a topic I could ever share information on because I didn't know enough. I wasn't an expert. I'm still not an expert. However, if nobody at your company has been talking about accessibility so far, it's likely that they don't know much about it either. It's highly possible that the amount of knowledge that you feel is small is still more than what anyone else has. Okay, so now we have some basics. You know how important it is to build an inclusive web. It's time to start building awareness within your team. You can start by simply sharing some of the accessibility articles that you're reading with your team. Start conversations about what you've been learning. It can be as simple as starting a conversation over lunch, like, I read this really interesting article last night about what the accessibility tree is. Once accessibility is a word that is familiar to your team, you can then start asking questions. In planning meetings, begin asking questions like, how will we make this component keyboard accessible? Have we tested the color contrast in this design? Can we make a ticket for ensuring this component is accessible? The answers might be no. The answer might be we don't have time. Don't get too disheartened at this stage. Making change is always hard and it does take time. Focus on getting people used to having conversations about the topic. Then we can start making improvements. Your team know by now that web accessibility is important to you. You're regularly talking about it during planning meetings because you keep asking those questions. But what if building a feature to be accessible isn't part of the requirements? I understand that often deadlines are tight and you genuinely may not have time. But if it is possible and you won't be risking your job to do it, just make what you build accessible anyway. Don't ask for permission. Nobody is going to say, how dare you improve this feature and make it accessible? And if they do, they're going to sound like a total jerk. When estimating work, try to add some padding for making a feature accessible. And if you're building your UI with semantic markup, you're going to be ticking off a lot of accessibility requirements without adding any additional development time anyway. I was very lucky in that my team were totally on board with web accessibility. We knew we needed to do better. We just weren't sure how to begin or how to justify it to the company. We came across an opportunity of an internal hackathon that was focused on improving our rankings with Google. Accessibility didn't quite fit into the requirements of the hackathon, but we decided to persist with focusing our project on using Google's Lighthouse accessibility audit to improve our site. If you haven't heard of the Lighthouse tool, I highly recommend you read more about it. It's in the Chrome DevTools, and it's a great way to get started with testing accessibility. However, do not be fooled into thinking a high accessibility score means your website is accessible. Automatic testing cannot replace manual testing, and while your site might technically have all the right alt tags and color contrast, it may still be completely unusable. But you needed to start somewhere. We took our top 50 most visited pages and we ran the Lighthouse accessibility audit on each one, and we recorded the score as well as any issues that highlighted we needed to fix. We then looked across the board and pulled out any issues that repeatedly came up because they were to do with components that were on every page of the website. Once we had this list, we began working through them and creating pull requests for small improvements. Many of them were super minor issues, such as text being slightly too small, font colors not contrasting enough with the background, SVG icons for social media links that had no text. These minor fixes ended up taking our scores from around 40 to 50 to 80 to 90. This graph is probably really, really small, but it shows the sudden increase of the score right at the end of May 2019. Our scores were now green, and the company got excited. We took out 2 awards at that hackathon, and we got people talking about accessibility. At a smaller scale, I was recently working on refactoring a component, which was a CSS-only expander, and it wasn't at all accessible. While my task was just style changes, I actually rebuilt the component to ensure that it was accessible to a keyboard and screen reader. Nobody told me to do this, but nobody complained that I'd done it either. What's that saying? Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. Now you've done your research and you've started making improvements. You can continue working on this by yourself, but if you're at a large company, it's going to be hard to make a decent impact if all that knowledge remains solely in your brain. So it's time to start sharing with your team. Something important to remember is to be empathetic. Just because someone hasn't been aware of the importance of web accessibility, it doesn't make them a bad person. You don't know what you don't know. And at this point, it's really important to focus on everyone learning together. Short workshops are a great way to get started sharing your knowledge with others. At Finder, we have learning breaks every Friday in the engineering team. They're a 30-minute session where anyone within the team can share something useful. We started with an introductory session on web accessibility, covering what it is, why it's important, and some basics of how to make a website accessible. We wanted to show the group how our website sounds to a screen reader user, but unfortunately we didn't know how to use one properly, which is actually quite common for developers. So I went to a workshop by the amazing Russ Weekly as part of Ali Camp last year, and it covered how to use VoiceOver for Mac and NVDA for Windows. I came back and I ran a 30-minute hands-on session about using VoiceOver. It was both really fun and insightful. We recorded it so anyone who couldn't attend could check out the slides or watch the video later. If you do run a workshop like this, do remind people to bring headphones, because otherwise it does get pretty hectic with multiple screen readers all talking at once in the same room. While you're sharing your knowledge, make sure you document everything. We recently set up a web accessibility hub within our engineering space in Confluence. We wrote documentation on how to use VoiceOver and NVDA screen readers for testing. We documented how to run Google Lighthouse accessibility audits. We created a space for all of our accessibility-related workshop and conference notes to live. I know a lot of people hate documentation, but it's so important to have this resource so that people can get involved and help. We also created a Jira board for accessibility issues. Some larger companies like banks have teams dedicated to accessibility. Unfortunately, that's not the case for us. So the responsibility falls on every front-end team. My team at the time was the design operations team, and it was suggested to add any accessibility tickets to our backlog. The problem with this is that it makes the whole engineering team feel like any accessibility issue is only the responsibility of the design ops team. Not ideal. Unfortunately, if the tickets live on some other board that nobody owns, it's really hard to get them into sprints. So we're currently trying a board that pulls in any tickets with the Ali label so that they can live on the team board as whoever raised the issue. But if someone's looking to tackle an accessibility issue in some free time, they can see them all in one place. Okay, so we have researched. We've started conversations so our team is familiar with the concept of web accessibility. We've started making improvements ourselves, and we're sharing knowledge. By this point in time, something amazing happened for us. Our team was discussing accessibility regularly while planning features. We began including keyboard accessibility as part of our requirements. We began testing on screen readers as often as we were testing CSS in the browser. Conversations that didn't happen at all 6 months earlier were suddenly a constant in how our team worked together. And we were so freaking proud, but our team wasn't enough. If we were going to really make a change, we needed every engineer in the company to be on board. At Finder, we have a request for comment process when we want to bring in standards that every engineer needs to follow. It's a pretty scary process because it ends up with every engineer having the ability to add their opinion and argue their points. I struggle with conflict, so I had generally avoided getting involved in these processes until recently. But we created an issue. As an engineering team, we did not have any standards related to web accessibility, and as a result, our website was failing in this regard. And then we created a proposal, and we prepared ourselves for some educated debate. When putting together our own accessibility standards, our first thought was that we wanted to comply with the AA level, and we wanted our standards to closely reflect the WCAG. The more we thought about it though, we realized how hard it would be to go from nothing to AA, especially when our engineering team didn't have a huge amount of knowledge in this area. We decided to treat this initial proposal as a first step and focus on some key areas that we thought our engineers could get used to implementing first. We documented the what and the why of the standards, and we made it clear which areas of the code base this would apply to. We then wrote standards that covered some basic areas of web accessibility, being alt text, color contrast, text size, buttons and links, forms and labels, error handling, headings, keyboard access and visual focus, moving, flashing, or blinking content, meaning for non-standard interactive elements, and testing. For each section, we included examples to make it clear to everyone what needed to be done to achieve that standard, and links to any more information if needed. Most of the comments we received on this proposal were just on asking for more clarification or examples, but the testing section did raise some concerns within the team. While in the long term, we'd love to implement some automated tests, for now, we just wanted our team to test color contrast with a contrast checker, run a Lighthouse accessibility audit before deployment, and the most important of all features should be manually tested with a screen reader and keyboard only. At a minimum, we ask for a test on at least one of the following combinations, but preferably both: NVDA on Firefox and Chrome, or VoiceOver on Safari and Chrome. These combinations were decided on after looking at the latest screen reader survey and picking out the most used combinations. VoiceOver is most commonly used on mobile devices and NVDA on desktop, but not everyone will have access to both a Mac and Windows machine, so this needed to be flexible. As expected, a conversation began on these requirements about whether screen reader testing during development should be mandatory. Some people suggested that it could be a QA responsibility, or that checking with Lighthouse should be enough. When you're involved in these conversations, try to focus on empathy and education rather than getting defensive about your point of view. I really have to think through a response before replying. If we're not testing with a screen reader, then for example, how could we know that our ARIA attributes are correct? Until you listen to it with a screen reader and ensure that it makes sense, you could actually be making a component less accessible without realizing. Testing with a screen reader is the equivalent of testing in the browser. We wouldn't go live with CSS without checking that it looks okay in Chrome, Firefox, etc. So why would we go live with accessibility improvements without checking them with a screen reader? You won't always convince everyone, but we did convince enough people. The standards were approved and all engineers at Finder are now required to follow them. Of course, it is a difficult thing to enforce, but previously, if we'd requested accessibility improvements, it could have been pushed aside to check them. The big win here is that if we review a pull request that goes against these standards, We can now block it from going live. Now we can request that issues are fixed before they get to production. So that's my story. That's how we went from an engineering team that never discussed accessibility to a team that agreed on making an accessibility standard. We're still right at the beginning of our accessibility journey, and we have a really long way to go. But it's a conversation that wasn't happening at all 12 months ago, and that is a huge cultural change. It's especially important in hard times like this when everyone deserves access to information. We're planning to iterate on our standards to incorporate more of the guidelines as we go and continue to learn and share knowledge. The beginning is a really hard place to be in terms of accessibility when you have already had a large code base, but we have to start somewhere. Oh no, now there's lagging in my slides. There we go. Okay, so let's recap quickly some items that you can put into practice tomorrow. Research web accessibility and get some knowledge to begin. Start conversations with your team, share articles, and ask questions about accessibility when planning new features. Don't ask for permission, just start fixing things. Run a Google Lighthouse accessibility audit and start working through quick fixes when you have time. Begin sharing your knowledge. Write how-to documentation and run workshops. Consolidate documentation into one place and propose accessibility standards for your team to follow. If you can't do this for the whole engineering team, at least try within your own team. And get everyone to commit and hold them to it. Block pull requests that go against your standards. Oh, my slides are so slow today. It's very easy to talk about this process and share all the wins we've had and be proud and happy of what we've achieved so far. The process itself, however, it's not easy. It can be soul-destroying, especially when you care a lot about the issue. There are days when you've asked, how will we make this accessible? But the new feature still goes live and it's not. There are times when you try to get other engineers involved and you might be told that accessibility is a niche interest rather than just part of our jobs. There are times when progress is so slow, you feel like giving up because it feels like the cultural change required will just never happen. It's not easy, but it is worth it. When I released my first keyboard accessible component, I was so proud. When our team began discussing accessibility as part of requirements, I was thrilled. When a principal engineer who had originally pushed back on making screen reader testing mandatory for all new UI, when he changed his mind and supported us engineering standards, well, I literally danced around my house in joy. When you're starting from scratch, trying to tackle web accessibility can be really hard and overwhelming. Start small. Any improvement is better than nothing. And please, please don't give up. The web needs you to not give up. People need you to not give up. And that is it. Thank you so much for all your time. Feel free to email me or find me on Twitter if you want to chat more about this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taryn.
Thank you.
Nice. You can hear there was 109 people clapping right there. So yeah, we've got lots of comments, which is awesome. Very well, we've got a comment from Jack who said race car is spelled the same backwards. Today I learned. Very good. Okay, let's see what questions. We do have some questions. We've got Matt who's asking, can you share your standards? Because he needs to write theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be able to do that. Maybe I will put together a blog post or something and be able to share it on Twitter.
Awesome, very good. And then we've got a comment from, question from Padma. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through all the comments because there's just so many. Oh my God, there's so many. Padma's asking, do you have any tips for encouraging meaningful alt text additions when it's via user-generated content and not within the org?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, and it's something that we have issues with now as well, that we need to sort of deal with, because any images that are added programmatically to our site just have terrible alt text. Usually it's the name of the article that the image is matched to, rather than anything that means anything to anybody. Yeah, I guess I don't have a good answer to this yet. I haven't figured it out. But I guess something to think about is, if the alt text isn't providing value, if it's just repeating the same thing that comes in text after, is there any point in having it? Maybe a blank alt text is better than having a useless one. But again, I'm not a full expert on this, so.
Cool. Awesome. All right. I think that's all the questions. So yes, Taryn said, if you've got any questions, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer them on Twitter or in some other form. So yeah, so can everyone please put your hands together for Taryn again? Thank you, Taryn.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right, so we're going to go on to our last talk for the evening. Hang on a second. I think we're getting a bit of a breaking news coming in. So we're just going to quickly cross live to the studio.
The model, Heidi Klum, has become trapped in a box after she tried to inset herself inside it during an appearance. The isolation is believed to be due to a bad object fit. None of the other participants are believed to be in any danger, and they remain hidden as they require reduced visibility to prevent them becoming a target for indeterminate cursors. Her position has been made known to relatives, none of whom displayed any emoticon, as they have chosen to block it out, in line with isolation guidelines. Authorities say that units have been deployed to provide a measured response. They are remembering to be empathic towards her situation, and that no charges are likely to be laid. We have pixelated the image faces in this due to the sensitive nature of this operation. The idea to break inside was floated right away, but left on the table after a clip appeared of a similar touch action that pointed to events that led to orphans and widows. The team will attempt to flex the box, but warn that such a transition is risky, as a shift of the object position may cause a content overflow. It is therefore important that the timing and duration of this transition be performed without delay. Although we believe the rescue team will be wearing a mask, the type, size, and origin of the mask we do not have at this time, but we believe the mask position will be in the center of the face until they are clear of the border around the box. No doubt the situation will change, and any media queries are to be sent in the direction of the quotes department for padding out. Now back to your normal programming. Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you, Sharpie. Our thoughts are with Heidi and her children right now. So thank you. Okay. We are now, sorry, that was just so funny. All right, we are now actually going to the last talk for the evening. And let me just figure out how to do this. The Sharpie having a beer. Thank you, Sharpie. All right. Yes, I got it. We are now going to Debbie. David, what are you doing on the screen? Go away. Bye. We're now going to move on to our last talk for the evening. So we're very happy to have Debbie Teakle to be joining us. So Debbie is a technical recruiter at Look Ahead Search. So she works with me. Before joining Look Ahead, Debbie was a product manager, and she's also done some web development before. And yeah, so tonight Debbie is going to talk to us about how we can best prepare for video interviews, especially in the current times. So can you please put your hands together for Debbie? Okay. All right, Debbie, we need to share your screen. I just remembered.
Yes, I need to share. Alrighty, let's get this happening. Does that work?
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, Dee. Well, a lot has changed over the last few weeks, but despite it all, there are companies still hiring. They've adapted to by replacing face-to-face interviews with video interviews. So I want to help you prepare for that. So because I'm a tech recruiter, I've focused this talk from a developer perspective, but a lot of the same principles apply whether you're a developer, a designer, or something else. So here we go. So you're a developer. You are detail-oriented. You're a problem solver. You're a tester. You make backups. You communicate when requirements aren't clear. You're concerned with security and privacy. You're technically proficient. You're a professional. So prove it. Now, you can prove these things during the interview when you're answering questions, but you can also prove these things through your video preparation. So here are a few tips. The first is to check your calendar invite. Normally this is where all the information will be about what video app you'll be using and how many people will be attending. Make sure you accept the invite too, so there's no confusion about whether you're turning up or not. And if you don't have those details, ask for them well in advance. Ask, is it a phone call? Is it a video call? Is it going to involve screen sharing or doing whiteboarding or anything like that? How many people? And once you do have all that information, then you can test the app. Download it, test it on your laptop, test your audio. We've all watched YouTube videos before with terrible audio. You can't watch those videos. Upload your profile pic, create an account so that if your video does cut out, at least you've got your profile pic showing. Test your lighting as well. Make sure your face is well lit compared to your background. And also arrange your windows on your laptop so that when you're looking at the people that are interviewing you, you're also looking at the camera, so you're not kind of looking at a different screen. Check your video background as well. Some apps are more widescreen than others, so don't rely on the app that you use every day for checking that. And make sure you're just not sharing anything that you're not prepared to share in that first interview normally. So, take a screenshot, zoom in, take a look at your bookshelf or the videos that you've got in the background. Are you literally airing your dirty laundry? Just have another look in the background. Tidy up your computer desktop. Make sure that you've turned off your desktop notifications, and be careful not to show any personal or company communications, because that can be really important that you're not being lax about that, so that show that you take your company's privacy seriously. Have a backup plan. So if your laptop Wi-Fi isn't working, have your phone ready with the app actually downloaded on the phone and logged in. Have your hotspot ready to go, and also check that you've got enough data on your phone too, if you do have to use your hotspot. And make sure they have your phone number to call you if they've got a backup plan to be able to tell you about it. Limit distractions. Now, there can be more distractions now that you're at home. Well, you might be living with other people and have pets and things like that. So it's not just about turning off your phone this time. It's about giving fair warning to the people that are around you. Maybe you can ask them not to watch YouTube while you're on your video interview, and
try and limit distractions as much as possible so that you can focus on answering questions and give people your full attention. And last of all, as you would in a physical interview, you turn up a bit early so that you know where you need to be and you can be sat down and not rushed and ready to start the interview on time. Log in 5 minutes before so that you're ready to go right on the dot and you can deal with any issues that come up right beforehand. So these are a few things I recommend, but it's also important to remember there's a bigger picture here. This is all happening in a wider context. This isn't business as usual. Hiring might stop at short notice. The hiring process might take longer than first anticipated. You and your interviewers have all been thrust into working from home, whether you set up well to do it or not. And we're sharing space and Wi-Fi with family and housemates, and some of us have even become homeschool teachers as well. So there's a lot happening here that's out of our control. So there will be technical issues. There will be unplanned interruptions. So be flexible, be patient, be understanding, embrace the uncertain, because we're all human and we're all trying to get through this the best we know how. That's it from me. But before I go, I'd like to invite Verity to share her recent video experience. When I asked her advice last week, she had a recommendation that I hadn't even thought of. So,
oh my God, yeah, it was literally the day before, wasn't it? I'd been doing some interviews quite recently, and it was not only my first ever proper technical test, but it was my first ever technical test over video chat. And so, as Debbie said, you know, I made sure that I cleaned up my computer, I cleared my downloads folder, I cleared my, you know, whatever. But the actual technical test that I had to do was building a file uploader, and the one point in my computer that I forgot to clear was actually my pictures folder. So when I went to click the file uploader, it opened my pictures folder and had a gorgeous self-portrait that I had taken the day before. So my interviews got treated to my beautiful selfies. It was mortifying. It was absolutely mortifying. But we just laughed it off. We laughed it off.
You made my day when you told me that story, Verity.
Oh my God. I absolutely died. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I did so much preparation and still. But it could have been worse. It could have been a lot worse.
Next time you'll just have to make a photo and put a higher knee framing on it.
Yeah, I know. If I was properly prepared, I would have done that.
Yeah. Cool. So that's the fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie.
You're
So
welcome.
everyone, put your hands together, please. Nice. Oh, nice. That was 100 something people clapping right there. So we've got some questions. Let me just scroll back up. Tom said your lighting is legit.
Yes, he's a photographer. He knows.
Ben Buchanan, question for Debbie. Any particular apps you recommend for running a remote interview, or perhaps just what features you feel help the most in an app for people evaluating options?
Ooh, that's a good one, because usually people don't get a choice. They just have to run with whatever the company's using. But if you're the company, I guess, yes, you do get a choice. Yeah, I'm not really an official on that kind of thing. I can tell you what I use because it's easy, and I use Whereby, and it's simply because people don't need to download an app. They can just click the link and they're straight in the room.
So that's what I use every day, and I haven't had any issues with it. I know other people use lots of other things for various reasons. But yeah, that's all I have. Sorry, Ben.
And then we've got a question from Ellie. She asked, how's the job market for junior front-end developers at the moment? And are there any tips that you can give to junior devs?
Oh, yeah. Well, the job market in general is pretty tough right now for everyone. And it's tough to begin with juniors, or let's be honest. So it is going to be tricky. So you're going to have to set yourself apart from everyone else that is looking. So I would recommend, doing what other people aren't willing to do. So maybe volunteer to do a talk next time for SydCSS.
I like that.
Yeah, cool. Okay, there you go. You've got
okay, I think that's all the questions we have. So thank you again, Debbie.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh my gosh. That actually ran very smoothly and my internet did not die.
Yeah, are you at your mom?
I am using their NBN.
They got good NBN, right?
They do. They do. They do.
Oh, so it's almost over.
Yeah. David, I think you need to come a bit closer. You sound a bit far.
Quiet, am I? Sorry.
Yeah, you are.
It's almost over, people.
Yes, I know. We
So
almost made it.
Few shout outs.
Yep, shout outs. Yep, so there's web directions coming up in August, like everything else. They're moving everything online so that you can literally watch the conference from the comfort of your bathroom. Like David said, you can watch it anywhere.
Oh, definitely.
Yep, so hopefully there'll be lots of friends from around the world joining in on the conference as well. They always have really great speakers. I know Padma, I don't want it to be over either, but I kind of want to go to bed soon. So we are, there'll be the conference there. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. So yeah, go to webdirections.org/code. They can also, I believe they also have code leaders as well that will be online, and maybe Summit as well, not sure. But yeah, highly recommend you checking out Web Directions Code. It's a great conference, and they get some fantastic speakers.
Yeah. Oh, June. There's also, I think there's still some meetups as well happening as well. There's, I think SydJS, even though they're saying that they're on hiatus at the moment, I think there are sporadic SydJS is popping up. There's also, I think we've got a sister meetup over in Singapore, and they're running in early May, Singapore CSS, or Talk CSS, I think it's called now. They'll be running with a few familiar faces that you might have seen present for us as well. And then finally, we've just got coming back in June. If this works for people, then we'll come back in June.
I know. Usually June is our first time speaker night. I'm not sure what we've got planned for that yet, but we will figure it out. But again, if anyone's interested in giving talk and you're out of Sydney, now is the perfect time. We'd love to get some friends from outside of Sydney to come and speak at our meetup, because now is the time to do it. And who said to run SydCSS every week? Nico. That was amazing. Can we do SydCSS every week? No, I think the nobody will wear off them. Why is my face so big? Don't make my face so big. That's better.
You need to move your webcam.
Someone is asking. Cheaper way of running this though.
Someone is asking, Simon, where do we go? Simon, right? Where do we go after? And Simon said, my post-event drinks recommendation is your fridge. Very good advice there, Si. Very good advice, because social distancing, everyone. Just go to your fridge.
Take a tip from Sharpie on that one.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Thanks, everyone. That was awesome. Thanks to our speakers for being our guinea pigs for doing this with us for the first time. I hope you all enjoyed it. We certainly enjoyed running it. And yeah, we can't wait to be back. And thank you so much to everyone for all the comments as well. I'm loving reading them, so I'm gonna have to go for them and just and see what all you guys have said. And yeah, so thanks everyone. Yay! Applause, please, David.
Oh,
Come on. Okay, Padma is asking who's hosting the after drinks on Zoom.
we so should have done that.
Yeah. Okay. If someone put a link on SydCSS live stream, we can share it with everyone.
That is
all right.
Idea.
We should do that actually. I'm keen to do that if someone put a link up. So, all right. I'm gonna leave that to you, Sai. Should we go? I don't know how to end this. This is really awkward.
I can end it. I can end it. Farewell, everybody.
Bye.